Hey guys, welcome to another video. I've created another tool to help with hand posing. Uh, I, I've never been that great at it, but the main thing I don't like about it is when you're creating hand poses. This is for full body IK, by the way. When you're creating those hand poses, you have to individually click on each finger bone and rotate each one of them individually. So I made a tool to kind of simplify that using Mecanum to help with that process. Um, This doesn't work for just hands. This is for humanoids. And I want to point out that both tools I'm going to use in this that I've created to share with you guys, they are not dependent on VR interaction framework. You can use them for other frameworks. I just primarily use VR interaction framework, but you can use these for however you want. So anyway, so we're going to be using Final IK. Already imported that. I've already got VR interaction framework, obviously. So first thing we want to do is if you want to get to where I'm at, go into VNG framework. If you're using VNG framework, use scenes, go into empty. That'll put you where I'm at. And then I'm just going to save this as a new scene. So save as, and then I'm going to go into scenes, and I'm just going to call this IK helper scene. So also point out that I'm in Unity 6.1. I know 6.2 just came out. I haven't downloaded it yet, but there's no reason why this wouldn't work. That being said, we're now in a new scene, so the next thing we need is an avatar because we're doing full body, right? So, already logged into Mixamo. Pick your character. It doesn't matter which one. I'm just going to use this guy. We download him. FBX. We're going to switch this to FBX Unity. Want him to T-pose. Download him. Whatever avatar you want to use. I'm just using Mixamo because it's really popular. A lot of people use Mixamo to rig their characters, but this stuff will work for other ones like Ready Player B and things like that. So don't worry about that. I'm just using Mixamo because here it is. Okay, so we got Mixamo character downloaded. I go over to my assets folder. I'm going to create a new folder. I call this oh, rename avatar. Okay. I'm going go over here to my downloads folder. He's right here. We'll just pull him in. Now, um, I'm going to create a new folder, and you'll know why here in a second. And I'm going to call this IK avatar. You can name it whatever you want, just so you know what it is. Let's click on this guy. Let's go over to the rig. I'm going to switch this to humanoid. Create from this model. Click apply. Makes me a humanoid model. And let's go to materials. We're going to extract the textures. I'm just going to use the same folder. Select the folder. See the texture pop out. This pops up. Click fix now. Extract the materials. I'm going to use the same folder so it plops them in there. Select it. Good to go. Okay, so now we have our guy. Let's go back over here and let's just duplicate this. And this will make sense in a minute. We're going to rename it to avatar hand poser. Now the reason we do this is I don't use the model that I'm using on my rig. Um, I use for hand poses. I use a different rig. So I just duplicate it and I'm going to make all my hand poses on this guy. And then this guy is going to be on my rig and then I don't have to worry about messing up my main avatar. So I clear that. That doesn't mean anything. Don't worry about that little guy. So now once you have that, I'm going to leave a download for both these tools in the description. But once you download them, you'll have Final IK auto setup, which I've already done a video on. And then you're going to have my lazy pose helper. This is what makes things a little more comfortable, a little more speedy to make hand poses. So let's just grab them, grab that, we'll throw that in there, import it. Okay, so once that's imported, you have an editor folder, lazy hand poser, and lazy hand pose data. So next, go back and then flip back over to access. I don't think that really matters, but grab this. We're going to grab our final IK setup. And you'll notice there's three files in here. You have character Y offset, which there are a couple of versions of this running around. This is my own homebrew. This is actually using a raycast. Um, the reason I rewrote my own for this is because I didn't want to share other people's code within this tool. But feel free to change this out with other ones from like CompuGenius or even BNG's own homebrew of this Y offset. But this is using Y offset for our Y offset. It's using raycast. And then the player scale, this is a direct just copy and paste from Final IK's player scale example. And then we have our setup tool. So, okay. So let's go ahead and import that. Okay, so now we have that all. So let's go ahead and come in here and we're going to set up Final IK real quick. Now, if you're not using Final IK, you can still use the lazy hand poser. I'm just doing this because I'm doing the full setup from beginning to end using these tools. So let's come down to our center eye anchor and let's go ahead and make an empty and we're going to call this IK head target, right? And then for our left hand, let's come down here, our model's left, create an empty. We're going to call this left, we'll call IK left hand target. And then underneath our right, let's create another target, create an empty. We'll call this IK right hand target. Now, the reason you're making these children of the models, left and model right, on the grabbers themselves, there is when there's a selection on the grabbers and VR Action Framework that allows you to parent this to the objects. So what happens with VR Action Frame or with VRIK, Final IK, when this target parents itself to an object, your IK is going to be tied to it. So what it does is it gives one-to-one movement. So let's say if I'm holding a gun with both hands, and these are both parented because they're children of models left and models right, when my gun hits the table, my targets stay with the gun, even though my controllers come away from it. So I'll never get a separation of my hands away from whatever I'm holding. So it gives you physics when you're holding an object. That's the reason you're making these children of the models right and models left. That does not, equate to how you would do it in XR Interaction Toolkit or something else, but that's the way it works in VR Interaction Framework. Now, once we have that, we need our avatar. So let's grab our avatar. So let's go into where did we get avatar yet? Oh, there it is. Okay, so let's go to avatar. You want the one that you're going to be using on your rig, not the one you're using for hand poses. We're going to take him. We're going to make him a child of the player controller. There he is. Now, um, if you go to your tools, remember I already have Final IK in here. So we're going to go ahead and grab our tool. Let's just drag our guy over here to our target avatar. And all those targets that we made, head target, and we want our left-hand target and our right-hand target. Our animation controller is the one that comes with VR interaction, or not VR interaction, but with Final IK for VRIK. So it's called VRIK animation locomotion. You can obviously duplicate this and make as many copies and manipulate them and use whichever one you want, but this is what we're going to use. Okay, so with this, if we come down here, let's see how the avatar type is set to default. I want to set that to mix mode because that's what I've got. And what that's going to do is it's going to give me hand rotations that are roughly where they need to be. So let's zero out our character. Set him to mix mode because he's a mixed mode character. You can see I've also got Cinti and I've got Ready Player Me in there. So let's set up Final IK. Set up our leg animation. Sets up your animators for you. If you want to shrink your head bone, you can do that. It's reversible. If you need Y offset correction, this is the script that I wrote using the raycast to do the Y offset correction for you. So we can do that. It adds that. If you want to set up avatar scale, it does that for us. It's already set up. Set up our twist relaxers, sets it up, it assigns everything, does the elements. This is the basics of this. You may have to tweak this, but this will set it up and get the correct for a basic rig. Set up our grounder. If you look over here, if you want your feet to match whatever you're walking on, set up a grounder. It does that. It does all the assignments for you. Our avatar mask, it creates an avatar mask for us. If we go over to the animator, we go over to our base layer. Look here, you see it assigned it for you. Now, um, if you go into your idle animation, um, oh, where's that? Oh, that normally this will say one. I actually took this through a practice run before I made the video, but normally this will say one, right, which is the speed. And what this is if you've ever had, if you're using Final AK and you've done everything up to this point, you'll notice that when you're standing still, your butt shakes back and forth, your body starts to look kind of weird. Well, a quick, easy fix for that is to set this to 0. So I just gave it a button to do that. So it's going to set it to 0 for you. There you go. So at this point, what you have is this. I'm going to be using the um, emulator for this, but there you go, right? Okay, so now we got to set up our hands. And this is where the other tool comes in handy. So before we even get into our rig, let's just disable our rig. Okay, come back over to your avatar, come over to the other one. This is the one for the hand poser. Let's drag them in there and let's zero them out. Okay, come down to the hips, come down to your spine, come down, and we're trying to find the hands. So let's come down to the left, and this is for your VR in action framework. So let's add a component, hand poser, auto assign, and that's all you need to do for now. Let's come down to our other one, add hand poser, auto assign. Okay, so now let's go up to our tools, go to our lazy hand poser. When you first open this, it might look something like that. Just stretch it out like that. Okay. Let's just grab our avatar, just drop them on there. You'll see it automatically goes into mechanical. Now, what this is, let's go and shut this off, and I'll show you what this is, what we're actually controlling. So if we come over here and we come over to animation, right? Rig. Let's go up to configure. Okay. So what we're actually controlling, I think it's under here, muscles and settings. What we're actually controlling is this, all of these features here. I'm not going to mess with them, but we're controlling these. And what this does is it basically says it keeps you in constraints of what they feel is natural movement for these bones. Here, I'll go ahead and show you what this does. So if you can see this is moving things, right? So let's just set that back the way it's supposed to be. Okay, done. So now you know what we're actually controlling. So let's go ahead and open the tool again. Uh, Pull them back in there. And that's why it automatically goes into this hand shape because this is what it is within that mechanic. So some avatars, depending on the way they're made, you're going to need a left and a right hand pose. Some you can just make one and you can use it on both hands. But what I've done is I've made it to where it'll mirror. So now if I change this one, my left hand pose, which is this one, it's automatically going to change the other one, and then we can just save both hand poses. So if you need a different hand pose for each one, it's easily done. Okay, so the first thing we want is we want an open hand pose, something that looks natural and open. Now, normally, I'm just going to set this back to 0. Um, it would not let you go beyond a certain point. So I've made it to where it can actually go to 2 instead of 1. So you can actually go outside of what the natural movement is if you need to. Um, so let's go ahead and make something that looks kind of somewhat natural for an open hand pose, right? Um, these are your actual joints. Spread is how close and how it moves around. And you'll notice that the other hand, because it's mirrored, is doing the same thing. So, so then just come down to your index and we can start straightening things out a little bit. And just kind of have a natural look to it as you can. And you can see already that this is much faster than kind of clicking on your individual joints, and it's just a little easier, in my opinion. I just feel it is. And if you guys feel it is too, I hope you get some use out of it. Now, I should also point out that a lot of your animation packages, like software and stuff like that, to help you with animations, will actually have this ability. But in our case, we don't need all the extra stuff, right? We only need um, we only need the hands. We don't need all the extra animation stuff. Which, come to think of it, you could actually use this for animating your hands. If you were want to make poses for your animator, you could use this to do that. All we're doing is we're posing the hand. Okay, so now that we have that, let's go to our left hand, which we put that hand poser on, right? And we can save the pose. So we can say, IK, left hand, open, right? And then I think Mixamo, you can use the same pose on both, but for the sake of those guys that might use this to where they need an individual pose for both sides, we're just going to do this. Okay, right, open. We're just going to do it as if we needed a separate pose for each one. Okay, so now we have our open poses. So now let's create our closed pose. I usually start with this one. I like to kind of look at it from the side. To just get it kind of as best I can make it look, right? And then I can, with this one, sometimes it's easier to look at it from the opposite way. So remember your knuckles got to shuffle down, right? Okay. And then grab the third one, grab our pinky. Okay, so once we have that, if you look at it from the front, you see they be kind of spread apart a little bit, maybe. And then you can use your spread to kind of pull them together where they need to kind of be. Thumb, that to come in, so I just kind of look at it from underneath, and you can grab your spread and just kind of, you can spend more time doing this, get the best fist you can get. You'll see the other one does the same. So now we can come to our right hand, save this pose as hand closed, save my left hand, save pose, left hand, closed, save. Okay, so we made our open and close poses. So now if we close this, we can just do that with him, or you can actually just delete them all together. Let's re-enable this, and let's come down to our avatar. Okay, and same thing, we want to find his left and right hand, and we want to add the hand poser, auto assign, and we want to add hand pose blender, right? And we want to add, because some people like to use the auto poser, go ahead and throw that on there. Okay, so for our assignments for blend from two, this needs to be your open. We're on the left hand, so IK, where did I put those? Sorry, JK. Called them IK, did I not? You guys are probably seeing it right now, and you're like, hey, it's right there. Okay, here we go. Left hand open. And IK, left hand closed. Okay. Same thing for here. Some you could do a wide open here. If you did a wide open pose, that's where you would want this to be. That's for making poses with auto poser. But for this, I'm just going to use the open pose. So uh, open, and then we'll use IK closed. And my idle pose, I'll just use the open again. Okay, and then we'll come down to our right hand, and then we'll do the same thing. We're going to add our hand pose. There we go. Out of the sign. Um, Blender. Same thing. We'll assign it, but this time we're going to use the IK right. And open and our right hand closed. Okay, and we'll go ahead and add our alt picture. Okay. Now, let's go up to our rig, uh, which is here, and you need to come down to, I think it's here. So on our controller, we're already using the hand poser, but we need to change where these things are. We're not using an animator. This doesn't matter. You can null this out if you want. For this, we're actually going to use we're on the left hand. We're going to grab our left hand, which is here for our hand poser and for our auto poser. And then if we come back up here, then we're going to go down to our right controller, which is here. And you can see these aren't even assigned. So we'll just come down here and we'll grab our right hand. I think I'm on the right controller, right? So, on the right, yep, right controller, right hand for our poser and our auto poser. Okay, so now where we should be, fingers crossed, use the emulator. Should have. So, oh, I forgot one very important step, and this is the reason that you are using separate avatars. So let's come into our IK avatar. Let's click on this and let's go into our rig and let's go and configure. Come down to your left hand. We've got to null all of these out. So if you double click it, if you just click it, you can't do anything. But if you double click it, you can delete. You can use your delete key. So double click, delete all of them. Same thing for our right hand. And the reason for this is because Final IK is using the animator for its legs, and the hand poser gets overridden by that animator, even if you're using a mask. So the way to get around that is you delete out these transforms from the rig, and then the animator can no longer control them, so they no longer get overridden. So there's your reason for that. So we're going to apply that, and then now these should work. So there you go. Okay, so we have our 8 animations. While we're here, let's just go ahead and underneath our models, let's just go ahead and disable our other ones, our custom ones, so that they're not there anymore. Okay, so now, what if you wanted to set this up for like a gun, right? So Let's go over to assets. We'll go to BNG framework. We'll go over to prefabs, and then we're going to go to weapons, and then let's just grab the pistol new, right? Okay, so let's plop this in here. Let's go ahead and disable this rig. Let's go back over to our assets. Let's go back to our avatar. Remember, you only ever want to use the poser on this. So this is why we have this separate rig. Let's drop him in there. Okay, we'll zero him out. And our gun, we'll zero that out. Okay. Grab our pistol. Let's put it over here. Let's put it up in his hand. I'm going to do this quickly, but let's just rotate it this way, and then we'll rotate it this way. No, I give us, I think it's just, let's do 90 by 90. There we go. Okay. We'll pull it down. Let's get it roughly in his palm. Um, about where it would sit in the palm of your hand, right? So somewhere in there, right? Back a little bit. Okay. So now let's go up to our tools again. Grab my lazy hand poser. Let's grab him, throw him in there. So he goes in the mechanism. So let's just start with our fingers. Let's grab the pinky. We'll just kind of near it because I'm looking at the right hand. You can see I'm looking at the right hand, but I can control it with the left. That's because they're mirrored together. Uh, Spread that over. Kind of do a thing here. Yeah. Next, you might just kind of. May or may not want that to be that way. There we go. And then with our third finger, do that. Make it look somewhat like something. Okay. We can with a spread. And we can always, move our gun up if we need to a little bit. Whatever. And then to our trigger finger, right? Kind of want that up a little bit, and then a little bit. And then however you think that needs to look, right? And you can see it already kind of looks almost correct. And then our thumb here, kind of do that. Do whatever you want to do with that. To kind of make that look right. I'm going to call that good enough for this tutorial. I don't want this to take forever. But as you can see, it's a lot easier just to move these around than having to go in and individually click every single joint to get something that looks pretty good, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so now once we have this, since this is a new avatar, go down to our spine. Because they're both mirrored, they both have this. So find our left hand. Don't close this. Well, you can. It doesn't really matter. Let's just do our hand poser. Grab that auto assign, and then we're going to save the pose. We're going to call this K left pistol. Save, and then we'll come down here. And poser auto assign. We're going to save the pose, and we're going to call this K right pistol. Save. Okay, so now we have our hand poses. Now we can get rid of this guy. Let's just take our pistol here and we'll go ahead and zero it back out. We'll just put him on the table. We have our rotations here. That way, that's where he drops. Now, do that. Come down to our pistol. Notice you have this grip right and you have a grip left. We're going to change this to hand pose, right? And your selected hand pose is going to be, if you're on the right, you want your IK pistol right. K pistol, K right, pistol. Okay. And on left, same thing. It's already set the hand pose, so IK left pistol. Okay. Now up here on our grabbable, to make this easier, what you want to do is our uh, grab type is set it to toggle. And what this will do is if you grab it, you're not going to have to hold a button. It'll just hold on to it until you hit the button again. So now let's hit play. Just so we can see, which I've mentioned this in the Final IK auto setup that you might have to adjust some things. So I'm just going to adjust this back where I can see. Okay. So now let's go ahead and grab this thing. If you're finding that it's not exactly right, like you can see how it's off, well, all you got to do, we made this hand pose based on this. So let's just grab our pistol, and he's in the right hand. So now we can um, change this to local. We can move it around to be where it needs to be, kind of match the pose that we made. There you go. So now we can just copy this component, hit stop, and then we can paste on values. Now when we hit play, again, I'm going to move the head. I should have probably saved and moved that around, but whatever. Play it down. So we can actually see. Oops. Totally dropped it. No, let's just try this again. Okay, there you go. Um, and that's about all there is to it, really. I mean, you would just do the same thing with the right hand grab. We did it with the right, sorry, the left hand grab. So on the pistol itself, the way we changed the right grab point to line that up, you would do the same thing with the left hand. So let's grab it with the left hand instead, and I'll show you what I mean. Again, fix my head target. Just save that. But anyway. Okay, so we come in here and look at the left hand and see that it may not be lined up, and you would just do the same thing. So if you click on your pistol's left, you could then drag it down and up and forward, whatever you need to do to make it look right, or you can copy the positions off of your other one to make them match correctly. And there you go. I will make both of these tools free and available to download below. Feel free to comment. Oh, one other thing that I wanted to show on the lazy hand poser. I uh, I added a save pose. So let's say, come back down here. Let me grab my guy here. Video's going a little bit longer than I thought it would. Um, let's say you had your pistol pose here, which he's still in because, that's not going to go away just because I opened this, but it will go away once I add this on here. So I throw this back on. Oops, grab the character. When I throw this back on, he's automatically going to default back to his hand pose here. Let's say that I, uh, had this really epic pose that I just, wanted to keep, for whatever reason. I can click Save Pose Data. I can create a new folder called Pose Data. And I could save this data as like, epic hand pose and then save it. So now when I come back in, somebody's alarm's going off outside. I am in a hotel. Hopefully that stops soon. So the car alarm has finally stopped. Where was I? Um, so if you wanted to recall this data, so uh, go back to your tools, open your laser hand poser, see there's nothing there, and then there you go. So now we can load from a scriptable object and load that back, and then we can load the values and you'll have that back. There you go. So now you can save your default poses and you can go back and change them and then save them as other poses if you want. Just a little feature that I added to it. So I hope this helps. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me everything sucks. Doesn't really matter. But love you guys. Keep making games. Should be fun, not frustrating. And that's why I make these videos and I'm starting to create tools because, you know, making games should be fun. Shouldn't be a headache. So take it easy. Peace.